quite a big claim.
It's any dog, any age, any problem. But it means I'll take anything on. The reason that came about was in the first year as a dog trainer, I realised that there were lots of people telling me, oh, we went to see a dog trainer, and then they saw the problem and said, oh, no, I ain't working with you. And I thought that seems a bit unfair, really, because if you're a vet, you are duty bound to do your best for every animal that walks in that door. The promise is I'll do my very best, I'll bring all the experience to bear, but it doesn't mean that I'm promising that I can fix everything.
Welcome back to another episode of the Pause and Effect podcast. Today we have a very special guest joining us, Graeme Hall, the renowned dog behaviourist and the star of Dogs Behaving Very Badly. Graeme has gained immense popularity for his effective and compassionate approach to dealing with dog behaviour issues. With a new series about to launch in South Africa on DSTV, we're thrilled to have him here to share his insights and experiences. Welcome to the Pause and Effect podcast, Graeme.
Thank you very much.
So great that we've finally got the opportunity to chat.
Yeah, great name, by the way.
It's been a long time in the making.
Pause and Effect, I love it.
The Pause and Effect.
Yeah, brilliant.
Well,
yeah, I wish I'd have thought of that.
And well, once we named it, I realised there were a few Pause and Effects. So
okay.
I think it clearly is a.
Listen, there's only one in my mind.
Oh, thank you. And you are the Dogfather. What a name!
Yeah.
What a prestigious name.
Thank you. Well, it was meant
no
to
pressure
be.
There.
It was meant to be fun rather than prestigious, if you know what I mean.
Oh.
It came about because I'd started to do some work as a dog trainer. I thought I need a catchy name because if it's just your name, Fred Bloggs dog trainer, nobody remembers that. So I thought, I've got to come up with something. And I was walking the dogs one day, and a lady turned up who was a professional dog walker, and she had an estate cat, and on the back of it said, whatever her name was, the dog mother, two separate words, And I thought, dog mother sounds like godmother. Yeah, all right, dog father, you beauty. So that was it. And it was.
Well, it works.
Yeah. So it was just meant to be a bit of a jokey thing, really.
And it stuck.
Yeah, that was a few years ago now.
I love it. So Graeme, you are a master dog trainer. There's no sort of qualification to get that this is experience, this is a calling.
Yeah, exactly right. It is. That's absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, you can do qualifications, of course, and every now and again people ask me a question which is really in the realm of a vet, and I'm very quick to say, look, I am not a qualified vet. You need to see somebody who is. But it absolutely is. So it is more about, experience, and you kind of get to that level by working your way up. So it's an interesting background, right? I've got a degree, but it's in Hispanic studies. So not directly related to dogs at all. However,
was it that bad?
No, but I've kind of reflected on that over the years, and speaking a foreign language isn't just about bolting the words together. It is about tone of voice, and we all use different expressions as well, and they vary across the world. So, and I realised after a while working with dogs that actually, this is kind of similar. You're communicating with an animal who speaks a different language, and getting the
Absolutely.
body language right. Both, and of course, communication's two ways, isn't it? So, I'm doing my best to sort of read them. You'll know, you're very experienced. You hear a sound that's different. You think, oh, yeah, that's not a happy sound. Or sometimes you hear a growl, but it's not actually a growl. It's a Rottweiler who's purring because he's happy. You know what I mean? So the sort of translation thing, weirdly, is similar. So that was where I started. I then left uni and worked for a company called Weetabix, who make breakfast cereals, the biscuits. I did that for 20 years. And I ended up at quite a senior level. Jumped out with a package, as you do, intent on being a management consultant, would you believe? Long story. Wow. Yeah, I know. But I'd got two Rottweilers at the time, which is why I know about the rotty sort of purring. And I'd started to train them really seriously because, I thought, right, two male Rottweilers, these dogs have got to be really good, I can't afford for them to be badly behaved. So I suppose I discovered I was kind of good at it. We're all good at something, aren't we? So, and the head trainer at the club I was going to as a hobby said, look, why don't you do this for a living instead? So I, as you do, said, oh, that's very flattering, but why do you say that? His answer surprised me and actually changed my life. It's not too much to say. He said, are you good with people? I went, oh, right. What about dogs then? That seems quite important. And he said, no, you're good with dogs. Really good with dogs, but lots of people are. But some people, we see this in the veterinary profession as well, don't we? Some people are really good technically, are actually very good with the people, and you need a bit of both, don't you? And I thought, interesting. So, suitably flattered, I went and had a look at a few websites and thought, do you know what? I could give it a go for a year. So dog training was the sort of plan B, really. And I said to myself, right, a year, that's it. I'm going to give it a year, and if it's not flying, it's not for me, and that's that. And that year was 2008. So that's the potted history, really.
So a collection of many experiences and obviously learning along the way. Yeah.
And one of the other things I did along the way was I was a special constable here in the UK. Now, the special constables are a voluntary organisation, a bit like we have retained firemen as well. So it's something you do that's not your full-time job. You're not paid, actually, apart from expenses. But you very much are just wearing the uniform and doing the job. And I learned a lot about communicating with people in pretty stressful situations, as you can imagine then. And I did that for about 7 years. And I, again, once I got stuck into dog training, and particularly, working with dogs with behavioural problems, I realised that actually some of the skills that I'd picked up there were quite useful. And again, it's tone of voice. It's being very clear sometimes. There are times when you just need to say, no, calm down. 3 words, very powerful.
Yeah.
And that counts for an awful lot more than all that. Don't pack it in. So I think you're right. There are lots of sort of threads that led me to where I am today. So it kind of feels like it was meant to be.
That's wonderful. And you make quite a big claim. You make the claim, any dog, any size, any breed.
Yeah, any dog.
That is, I think...
Yeah,
is that correct?
It's any dog, any age, any problem. And what that means is...
any age.
Yeah, but it means I'll take anything on. And it doesn't mean I've got a magic wand, I can fix it any more than a vet can, you know. But the reason that came about was... in the first year as a dog trainer, I realised that there were lots of people telling me, oh, we went to see a dog trainer, and then they saw the problem and said, oh, no, I ain't working with you. And I thought that seems a bit unfair, really, because if you're a vet, you are duty bound to do your best for every animal that walks in that door. And it seemed a bit unfair that dog trainers get to pick and choose and go, oh no, I don't want to work with yours. So I said, well, look, I'm going to make the thing any dog, any age, any problem. The promise is I'll do my very best. I'll bring all the experience to bear, and if the first thing doesn't work, I'll try and think of a second thing and all of that. But it doesn't mean that I'm promising that I can fix everything. That's not the way it is.
And how much is about the owners and how they approach or how they handle, take your advice?
Great question. A lot actually is about that. And that guy who was the head trainer at the club I mentioned, who said, maybe she should have a go at this. The thing he said after he'd been talking about, you seem quite good with people, was this. You can only, fix the dogs. Maybe fix isn't the right word, but we can only fix the dogs through the people. And I thought, yeah, you are so right. Because as a dog trainer, or a vet, I guess, you give people the right advice. And then it's like, right, off you go. Now you need to put in the hard work, and some people really get it. Other people struggle a bit. And just this week in the UK, I'm already filming, by the way, for Series 7, so you've got that to look forward to next year.
Oh, wonderful.
But I've just been working with a guy this week, the last couple of days, and I was just saying to the crew when we finished, he was great, 'cause everything I asked him to do, he just did. When he got his tone of voice right, it was like, okay. So, for example, 1 minute he's like, no. He had a French bulldog who was prone to nipping people, right? So when the dog looked a little bit sort of agitated, his telling off tone was okay because he wasn't shouty, but it was very deadpan. No, which was fine. 2 seconds later, the dog's gone, "Oh, sorry, Dad," and he's backed off. And the guy says, with the same tone of voice, "Yeah, good boy." It's like, oh no, that ain't going to work, right? Because it all sounded the same. So I said, look, you need to hear that contrast, right? So it's got to be, the no is fine, so no, but then it needs to be, oh, good boy, but also calm with it, by the way, not that whoopie-doo excited because you rev them up again. In veterinary practice, it comes second nature, doesn't it? Let's just keep things calm in this room, shall we? But you can really hear that contrast, can't you? So, no, oh, good boy. And if you can hear that difference in the music of the language, then your dog can. And they get it. They're just hardwired to go, oh, right, that was a nice tone of voice. I must be on the right track then. And this guy was great because I told him once and he went, okay, fine. And he did that. And then the next thing was, okay, well, now we need to talk about your face because actually, as most humans, when we're concentrating, we've got one face. So that face needs to do a frown occasionally. I don't approve. And occasionally you need to smile like a village idiot. You know, yeah, good boy, you know.
Body language as well as what you're saying.
Yeah. And I mentioned that to him. He said, "Oh, I get you," and off he went. You know. And then the final thing was, and this is very common too, when we're tensed up mentally, emotionally, our arms often tense up too if we've got a dog on a lead, right? So the worst thing you can do is you end up pulling back on the lead like this, and then the dog pulls against you, and then there's a problem. So it was very much a case of like, look, your arm again. So arm again, you know, I think 4 times. And then I saw him, he went to tense his arm up and went, oh, what am I doing? And he dropped his arm up. Oh, well done, you know. So to answer your question, yeah, it's very much about people. Yes, it is sometimes a case of getting a bit of coaching from somebody like me, and then do your best to practice. Like most things, I guess, like sports, you know, it's you get the instruction and then the hard work starts, doesn't it?
Hello, I'm Dr. Carra, a veterinarian and the host of the Pause and Effect podcast. Our show is all about enhancing the lives of pets by providing reliable, science-based advice and engaging in discussions with experts in veterinary medicine, pet nutrition, and animal behaviour. As a professional with years of experience in both the UK and South Africa, I run a 24-hour veterinary hospital and an online pet store. I'm also pursuing a master's in animal nutrition and consult for UltraPet, a local veterinary-grade pet food manufacturer. My passion lies in sharing knowledge and helping pet owners make informed decisions about their pet companions. The Pause and Effect podcast is rapidly growing, attracting a dedicated and engaging audience of pet owners who are passionate about their pets' health and well-being. Our listeners trust us for credible, informative content that empowers them to provide the best care for their animals. We are looking for sponsors who share our commitment to pet health and who want to reach a highly engaged and expanding audience. Partnering with us means aligning your brand with trusted and influential content that resonates deeply with pet owners. As a sponsor, you'll benefit from high visibility on a platform that is used for multiple purposes, including educational content, product recommendations, and community building. We offer various sponsorship packages designed to fit your marketing goals and budget, ensuring that your brand gets the reach and the impact it deserves. Join us in making a difference in the lives of pets and their families. Let's work together to bring valuable insights and quality products to our passionate audience. If you're interested in sponsoring the Pause and Effect podcast, please get in touch. I look forward to partnering with you. Before we proceed, let's discuss a vital aspect of feline care, catering to senior cats' needs. Allow me to introduce UltraPet's Optimal Balance Senior Cat Food, meticulously crafted to meet the unique needs of aging feline companions. This specialized formula features a balanced blend of nutrients, including 34% protein, 12% fat, and 4% fiber, ensuring your senior cat receives the optimal nutrition as they age. With a delectable chicken and rice flavor, UltraPet ensures that even the most discerning senior cats will enjoy their meals. Plus, the vacuum-coated kibbles deliver a taste experience that will keep your cat coming back for more. What sets the senior cat food apart is its thoughtful formulation. With added taurine to promote good eyesight and healthy cardiac activity, your aging companion can enjoy their golden years with vitality. Made with fresh meat, this food provides a better source of healthy protein, while essential vitamins and minerals from VitaCat
supports overall health, body function, and immune system protection. For ongoing dental health, the inclusion of calcium and phosphorus help protect your senior cat's teeth. Plus, the optimal mix of omega-3 and 6 fatty acids support a shiny coat and a healthy skin. Ultra Pet's Optimal Balance Senior Cat Food is available in 2 kgs and 4 kg packs, providing the perfect solution for senior cats transitioning into their golden years. Give it a try and ensure your senior companion enjoys a healthier and more active life. Your pet will thank you, and you'll appreciate Ultra Pet's dedication to feline well-being. Now, let's return to our conversation.
So do you think most of these problems originate because just there's not enough awareness, that people are just not aware of their behaviour and the impact it's having on their pets?
Yeah, I think that's the case a lot of the time. I mean, there are genetic factors as well, of course.
Of course.
But yeah, I think a big part of it is that. Through the pandemic, right around the world, we weren't able to socialise dogs in the way that we would like, and that's had a legacy. So I'm seeing lots of dogs who just don't understand how to say hello to people or other dogs. So often, if it's a dog that's about 4 years old right now, 3-4 years old, it's like, I see what probably happened there. Other times, it's because we get the timing wrong. So I'll give you a good example. Dog's barking, doing your head in, right? He's like, rah, 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 whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Let's say he's barking at somebody outside the door, right? Woof, 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 woof. Right, oh, no, pack it in, right? People start to get agitated. But finally, as if by magic, the dog stops, right? It might be that he's only stopped by accident and he's going to start again in a minute. But while he's stopped, being human, we're still stuck in that emotion of like, oh, So the dog's now being quiet, which is the behaviour that we want. And instead of marking that as good behaviour, lots of people fall into the trap, naturally, understandably, of like, I'm telling you, right? And then the dog starts to bark again. So the dog's thinking, yeah, right, so let me get this right. If I'm barking, you're upset with me. If I go quiet, you're upset with me. And then I bark again, you're upset with me. You humans are weird. I can't read you.
So confused.
So you point it out to somebody and it's like, oh my goodness, yeah, of course. Oh yeah. So what should I do then? Well, you need to do something that's a bit unhuman, which is decouple your emotions for a moment, right? And you really can go from, no, don't lose, your head, but, you can mark that as unwanted. When he goes quiet, that's when the magic happens, right? You mustn't miss the opportunity to go, oh, good boy. He's like, what? Hey? What, quiet is good? I didn't know that. And so, yeah, to your point, it's often that when you point these things out to people, it's like, that sort of like face palm moment. It's like, oh, of course. Oh, that's so obvious, isn't it? So, well, that's how dogs think, it's from moment to moment. I get it, right. So you don't look very happy when I'm barking, but you love me when I'm quiet. Well, I could be more quiet if you want. You only needed to say.
Oh, that's great. And you mentioned breeds, because I think it's probably a great opportunity to discuss this. If you were advising people, and obviously you're called in generally when people are just at their wits' end and they just don't know what to do. And they've probably been feeling like this for a very long time. Yeah. And, you go to extremes. People start thinking, either need to rehome this dog, perhaps, more serious if the dog's aggressive, we maybe need to put the dog to sleep. And very rarely do people sort of action the behaviour consult that's actually required. If you were to advise people before they go ahead and take on a dog, what are the basic stipulations, from taking on a puppy to socialization? What would you, if you were going to be giving your top advice for taking on a new dog? Yeah, what would you be saying to people?
A great question. I wrote a book a couple of years ago, Perfectly Imperfect Puppy, and it was for people who are about to get a puppy. And I said to the publishers when I started to write it, look, I want to start this before people have got a puppy, because, you naturally actually chapter 1, the first day. No, chapter 1 long before the first day, And I actually put a list of things. So this is puppies, but it also applies to rehoming a dog, right, which is a great thing to do. So first things first, let's not think about how cute it is. And I've always fancied one that looks like that, right? Put that out of your mind to start with, right? We can come back to that. First things first, I know it's boring, but money, right? Can you afford really to look after this dog, right? they do cost quite a bit of money, you know, and it doesn't end when you've handed over the cash to the breeder or a donation to the charity, right? Of course,
part one.
Yeah, they eat quite a lot of food. They perhaps need insurance. We'll come back to that in a second, you know, and there are lots of costs. So really look at that and have a word with yourself. You know, you might need to change your car, for example. You know, went to see somebody with a Great Dane a couple of years ago with a tiny little hatchback. I'm like, yeah, sorry, but this
not going to work.
I think she was 6 months old. I'm like, yeah, whatever you paid for that puppy, you're probably going to have to pay 10 times that to upgrade the car, right? And then think seriously about, you know, vet bills, because, you know, veterinary care is expensive, and that's a fact. So you have a choice there, don't you, between sort of insurance or the old, you know, being disciplined and putting money in a savings account, perhaps. You know, I've done that before and told myself I would and then never did, and then had to pay the bill anyway. So money is the first thing. Second thing, okay, let's think about your kind of lifestyle, the sort of person you are in terms of energy, and let's match that kind of, if you like, personality to a dog, right? So what do I mean? Well, okay, let's say you've retired. You've always wanted a dog. You couldn't really have a dog while you were working, and you're knocking on the door of 70 years old now. Still pretty fit, but you're not exactly a marathon runner, and you've just bought a border collie who needs to be walked for 2 hours a day by the time he's grown up. It's probably not a match made in heaven, is it? Let's be honest, right? Yeah. I mean, sometimes opposites do attract in a sense, but you just kind of need to say, right, what's my lifestyle? Does this fit, right? If it's a dog that needs lots of exercise, can you give them the time to do that? You know, there are other breeds that don't need quite so much, maybe bred as companion dogs, you know, so that's that. Have you got the time? It takes quite a bit of time as well as money to look after a dog.
I think people just think they slot in, don't they? They
yeah.
just slot into their lives.
And also, think of it's all right when you're looking at a cute puppy and you think, lovely, easy, right? Well, they're difficult when they're puppies and they require a bit of time. And then they become a mature dog. Yeah, they need walks, but they're okay. We've got 2 really old dogs at the moment. So we've got a Patterdale who's 17, would you believe? So she's gone kind of blind in the last couple of years, cataracts really. But she's also shown quite a few signs of canine cognitive dysfunction, doggy dementia. So she takes a lot of care, so she can't find a way out of the house. Now, we moved house, which didn't help her, only did it. She doesn't know the new house, so she's never seen it, literally. So we have to take her out, pop her in the garden, and we're going to bring her back in again. And we've got a 15-year-old, he's kind of a Staffy cross, really. Staffy cross with many breeds. We did a DNA test. The top 2 were Staffy and Chihuahua. I don't know how that happened.
My word.
That's good, wasn't it?
I love it.
He's a funny-looking thing. And he's fine, but he's getting on a bit. The point I'm making is, as they get older, they often need a lot more care and a lot more time. It's like looking after an elderly relative, really. So I'm not selling it to you really at this point, am I? But if you're listening and you're thinking, no, I still really want a dog, great. Then finally, we've done all of that, and you've had a serious word with yourself, and you're still up for it. Last but not least, okay, now let's talk about, do you like the look of them? Right, you know, you've got a big enough car, you've got a big enough house, you've got loads of money, you've always fancied a Burble, maybe. Okay, well, that's going to take a fair bit of training, so you're serious about that. All right, you've always wanted one, you like the look, let's be honest, you're going to be looking at each other for the next few years, right? So you might as well pick one that you like the look of. Well, then go for it. The point, of course, that I'm making is, looks really should come last. But you might argue it's a bit like that when you're picking a partner in the human world.
You just hope they behave well.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah, that's true. It's actually easier to train a dog than it is to train a human partner. Or so my other half tells me. I'm impossible.
So you've gone through the whole thing. You've decided, I've got the money, I've got the time, I'm prepared for the vet bills, I'm prepared to exercise them.
Yep.
I like the look of this one. I mean, do you just go full force and do it, or are there further steps you would advise?
Well, I think we've covered most of the things there. The big decision then is, all right, so do we go for a puppy or do we rehome a dog? And there are pros and cons, you know. I don't think there's a right answer to this. I've done both, by the way. The 2 Rotties that I mentioned both came to me as puppies. The 2 older dogs I've just mentioned now, they're both rehome dogs. So there's an argument for both. The last time I went for a rehome dog, it was really because I didn't have the time or the well, then I didn't have enough time at home to have a puppy, to be honest. So I thought, well, get a rehome dog, couple of 3 years old, perfect. I've kind of skipped the awkward bit and we're straight into the good bit, really. A lot to be said for that. And of course, it's a lovely thing to do. So that's fine. Do your homework. If it's a breeder we're talking about, then it needs to be a recognised breeder, and I don't really know the system in Africa, but in England we'd be saying, okay, look, Kennel Club, I'm sure there's an equivalent, isn't there? So make sure they're a recognised breeder. Have a look at the website. Now, here's my top tip. If on the first page of the website they're talking about how they've bred for health and temperament, particularly, right, and not so much just, hey, look at how many shows we've won, right, then I'd read further. If all I'm seeing is like, hey, we won this at Crufts and we've done this, and look at our show winner and look at all these rosettes, I'm not convinced yet that you're really serious about health and temperament, and those 2 things are really important to me. So if you see that in the first fold of the website, they're trying to tell you something here. This is going to be a dog who, with a bit of luck, will be healthy and will be well behaved, if you do the right things. So that's the top advice for puppies from a breeder. If you're looking at a rescue organisation, top tip there is listen to them. Be honest with them. Right, this is my situation. This is what I've got. By the way, we've got a cat. Right, okay. All right, that might be an issue. Got small children, whatever it is. And if they say, look, I know you like the look of this one, and you've cuddled up to each other the other side of the cage or whatever, but not for you, they'll be right. They'll know. They know those dogs. So and
they don't want them to come back.
No, they don't. And be open to suggestions, because it may well be, that a good rescue, they'll say, hey, have you ever thought about one of these? Meet this dog, and it probably wasn't the dog you thought you were going in to get, but it might well be a match made in heaven. So that's what I would say. Puppies. Look at the website before you go anywhere else. Health and temperament. They're the 2 key words. And
meet the parents, ideally.
Yes,
have a look and see how they behave.
Very good. Good point. Yeah, if you can. Yeah. Mum should always be there, and ideally both. Yeah, that's right. And again, I don't know what the situation is in your country, but here we've had problems with puppy farms, puppy mills. So
the same.
Yeah, right. So the classic sort of. The warning signs for that, by the way, are things like if they're saying, are you we do French bulldogs and pugs and chihuahuas and it's like, hang on a minute. Most serious breeders maybe concentrate on 1, maybe 2 breeds, not 5 or 6. Something wrong there.
Yeah. Either a scam or a puppy farm.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, one of the 2. Yeah. Can we see the parents? No, you can't. Okay. Can we visit your place? No, we'll meet you at a service station or somewhere. Or just run away. It's just that's not how it should be.
So, I love your point of taking on a rescue, but often when people go into these rescue organisations, these dogs have been kennelled, they generally running up and down the fence. It's very difficult to get an idea of temperament. Is that where you go back to the breed and understand some of the breed traits and say, okay, well, look, if it's collie and it's running up and down, this is very typical representative of the kind of dog I'm going to have at home versus this is excitable behavior. Yeah. So how much do you rely on sort of breed traits in terms of, sort of managing a case or advising owners on particular issues?
Great question. Well, very close to that question is the nature and nurture thing, isn't it, of course, So many years ago, I put out on Facebook over a weekend, dog behavior, very simple question, dog behavior, nature or nurture, right? And it's one of those trick questions, really, and everybody fell for it. So they either jumped into the nature camp or the nurture camp, right? So I let it roll over the weekend. On Sunday night, I went, well, and of course the answer is both. right? We are all, humans included, a product of our DNA, but also what we learned in life or what we didn't learn along the way. I'm thinking of lack of socialization, for example. So to answer your question, do your homework on the breed. On that, I would say do a bit of black hat thinking, be a pessimist, right? Which is not in my nature whatsoever. But what you'll find, if you, let's say, I don't know, let's pick a breed, Border Collie, because you mentioned it, right? If you go on any websites that are written by, Border Collie fans and you read about the temperament, you'll only hear about good things. Right?
True.
Very rarely on those sites are they saying, you really don't want a Border Collie because they're a bit too energetic and they're bonkers and you need to walk them for 4 hours a day. They are super intelligent, but that's also a problem because they learn bad things quickly as well as good things. You don't see any of that stuff, right? So you need to read into that. Maybe talk to some owners who've got them, right? And by the way, I'm not down on Border Collies. They're great dogs. But this applies,
I'm not either,
it applies
sorry.
to all breeds, right? The other thing that makes me smile is that almost any breed, you do this, go on a breed website for any breed you like, and the word loyal will appear. Everybody thinks that it's special to their breed. Labradors, loyal protectors and friends of the family. Rottweiler, loyal. So,
Definition of a dog.
It's hilarious. So you will only get the good news from people who are fans of the breed. Of course, because, if you're into that breed, you're going to present them in the best light. But you really need to go, but what is the downside, right? Now, I'll praise Rottweilers up to the hilt because I had those too. And in England at the time, Rottweilers was the devil dog in the media. It was, you walk down the street and people would cross the road. Who's that horrible man with those nasty dogs? Things have changed a wee bit, but so I was very keen to point out, they're great dogs, they're lovely, they're friendly, and all that. But yes, you do need to be serious about training, and if it's going to go wrong,
and they're strong.
They're very strong dogs, So let's if you're getting on a bit and you're frail and you're walking with a stick, I know you might have always wanted one, but I'm really sorry, probably not for you, So look at and it doesn't come naturally to some of us, but do the black hat thinking, the pessimistic thing. Okay, what's the downside? How could this go wrong? And once you've sort of got your head around that, then it's fine. Which is essentially what I did when I jumped into getting a Rottweiler puppy all those years ago. It's like, I'm like, okay, he is going to need. Well, it's funny because it literally changed my life, didn't it? He is going to need some pretty serious training from the off. I'm going to socialise him. I'm going to make sure he's fine. I'll tell you a funny story, actually. The other thing about you take if you get a dog, particularly a puppy, they often go to the vet a couple of times in the first few weeks, don't they? Vaccinations, right?
Absolutely.
If you're not careful, it's the worst experience in the world, is it? It's like, I've gone in here, I'm surrounded by dogs and cats who look stressed, Mum looks stressed. I get into this strange small room with this lady I've never seen before. They put me on a table, what's going on? And then they stick needles in me. This is not a good place, right? And if that's what you're leaving with, you could have a problem. So I was determined. Axel was the name of my first Rottie.
Axel, I love it.
Yeah, so I thought, we're not going to go down that route with Axel. I took some advice, and it's good advice, this, which is, sure, you've got to do those appointments, but if you talk to the ladies on reception, I say ladies, usually ladies, isn't it? Is it okay if we just pop in? I'll stick him on the scales just out of interest, and we'll give him a little treat, and then we'll walk out again, So he gets used to, I go in, there's nice people there, they smile at me, they give me treats, and we go. Nothing bad happens. Occasionally we go in the other room with the other lady, that's fine. So I did that, it's great. So imagine now that we're a year down the line. Axel now weighs 49 kilos, and the reception desk thing is fairly high, but not so high that a Rottweiler couldn't jump onto it. You can see where this is going, can't you? So I walked in going, this is fine. I've got this really well-behaved Rottweiler who loves the vet. And then he caught me by surprise and tried to jump onto the reception desk to say hello to the lady behind. Hello, I'm Axel. Have you got some sweets for me? So it kind of bit me in the bum a bit, but there we go. I don't
And
know.
I bet they said, hang on a minute, I thought you were meant to train them.
I know, that's right.
You knew what you were doing
What do
here.
you call that?
This is really embarrassing.
So, I wasn't actually a proper dog trainer at that point, but there you go, I've learnt my lesson.
Okay, well, that's lucky.
Yeah. So I don't know, we got onto that. It was a bit of a digression, but there you go.
I love that. I love that because I'm also a Rottweiler owner. And I also have, lovely stories of my Rotti, the jumping. They seem to like to sort of move their bodies. And my Rotti, and I'm going down this route because I want to ask you your opinion on this. But for a long time, us vets were making the recommendation that we were going to castrate them at 6 months. Obviously, population control and various factors. We said 6 months. That's the appropriate age. We were seeing too many behavioural issues, particularly with the large breeds. People just couldn't control them. Testosterone, on and on. So I decided, okay, I'm taking on this Rotti. I also want him to reach a good skeletal maturity before I castrate him. And this dog was determined to scale a very, very high wall and get out. And of course, you can imagine a Rottweiler plodding along the pavement in a neighborhood is probably quite intimidating. I mean, fortunately, he is a big teddy bear, but he was determined to get out. And one of the things I posted that actually went viral on social media was me arriving home and him sitting at the gate going, I can't get back in. I could get out, but I can't get back in. And people were just like, I think it was just so relatable because it was this sort of, can you imagine your dog strolling around the neighborhood, an uncastrated Rottweiler, and meanwhile he's like going, I have no way of returning home.
Brilliant.
But I'm going down this route because I want to ask your opinion. The castration thing is obviously quite a contentious subject at the moment. How important is it in terms of if you've got a problem dog in particular, a large breed, strong, they like teenage boys, from our perspective as vets in particular. What is your advice on castration?
Right. What, teenage boys or Rottweilers?
Yeah, well, both. One's allowed and the other one's...
There are some teenage boys near where I live that could do with a bit of that treatment.
Could do with it.
If nothing else, we'd take him out the gene pool, wouldn't it? Okay, great story, by the way. I love it. I can just see it. He's gone out and he's gone, I think I could smell a girl out there somewhere, right? That's probably what's driven it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So he's gone walking about. He's gone back and gone, I've had a great day, Mum, but I can't get in.
Self-exercise, come back, a lot of energy spent.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, most people in the neighbourhood had a terrible, terrifying day, and he's had the best time ever. Yeah, typical Rotti. Yes, you're right. It used to be the case that it was like, well, just castrate them all. It's a sort of automatic thing. And I had a chat with a vet that I really respect, who was my vet for many years. I've moved away now, sadly. And he said, I'm not an automatic, and I never have been an automatic neuterer, was his phrase. But some of my colleagues are. And he said, I look at it on a case-by-case basis, and I think, well, straight up, that seems to make more sense anyway, because most sort of veterinary care is on a case-by-case basis, isn't it? We don't go,
Absolutely.
That problem, that treatment, automatic, And the thing with neutering them is, in a case like the one you've just described, then that is something where you think, right, could this behaviour be caused by testosterone? Well, if he is running around after the girls in the neighbourhood, then yes, it could be, right. So that's the first thing, because there are times when people just get a dog neutered because they think it's just going to calm them down a bit. Well, it's not really, in a general sense. Other things that can be caused by testosterone in terms of behaviour, that sort of two boys bigging it up kind of thing. Being Billy Big Boy. So sometimes the reducing testosterone can really make a difference there. So, but, and it's a big but, and it's one that was never really talked about before. Sometimes you castrate a male dog, and actually behaviour gets worse. And the reason we think for that is that nervous dogs sometimes just needed a bit of something to carry them over. If you're a bit more confident, you've got a little bit of bravado going on, then you don't feel the need to fight or flight. You with me?
Okay.
You take
Yeah.
a dog who's like that, who's being kind of a bit aggressive because they're nervous, right? And you take away the testosterone, they become less brave, less confident, and more reactive, right? So you can get that. So if you get a case like that where you look and you think, okay, I'm pretty sure this dog is reacting this way, he's been aggressive or reactive because he's going fight or flight and choosing flight, right? Then you go, okay, right, should we neuter this dog? Bit of a red flag, right? We're going to be very careful, because the assumption was always it can't possibly do any harm. And actually it could in a case like that. So what I always say is, look, if you really want to go down that route, have a chat to your vet, because there are non-surgical alternatives, of course, So you might want to go for let's call it a chemical castration, right? Because at least then, a few weeks in, it's taken effect, you know what you've got. It's kind of try before you buy, if you like, because once you've gone down a surgical route, well, you can't glue them back on again, can you? So... So that's the only warning sign for me. There are absolutely times when I'm saying I think castration's a part of your solution here. I've had one recently, which it really was. Yeah, this is a dog who's bigging it up. He has a pop at other males typically. Not always that, but that's often one of the clues. It started, this is another one, by the way. It started when he was, about 10, 11 months, the testosterone's kicking in, and suddenly he's gone from sweet puppy to terror of the neighbourhood, So, okay, so in that case, yeah, maybe castration. Other cases, nervous dog, being a bit aggressive with other dogs because he's scared, you could make it worse. The difficulty is that we're talking there about two dogs who are being nasty to other dogs, and the symptom looks quite similar, doesn't it? A dog being aggressive to other dogs, but for two different reasons.
Absolutely.
So the first thing is really understanding why the dog's doing what they're doing, and then, have a chat to your vet.
And how frequently do you consult with vets, whether it's from a perspective of pain and saying, I think this dog's behaving like this because they're painful, for example, or we need chemical modification in order for me to be able to then direct my behavior consult, because without it, I'm stuck.
Yeah, you're right.
How frequently?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Do you find you?
So in the television show is quite interesting because the people apply, and then there's quite a process, as you can imagine. Because I didn't ask the question last year, but typically maybe 20,000 people apply.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's like winning the lottery, really getting through. So, I maybe it's not quite as exciting as that. I didn't mean to big myself up there, but some would say it was unlucky, really, if you get through. But there you go. And then if they get to the stage where the production company, at this stage I haven't seen any of the applications, right? So the production company then go, yeah, okay, this sounds like it's something that would be good. Also, there's an element of there's a good backstory perhaps and all that kind of thing. They'll send out a really small crew to do what they call a recce. So and they'll film a little bit of behaviour, and it's only then that I get involved. So if they think this is good, they'll send me typically a 4-minute video, right, that took all day to make, and I look at it and go, right. Okay, I think we'll probably be doing this. So I can give them a bit of a steer on where I think we're going to likely be going in the training so they can plan ahead, Hilariously, dogs being dogs, quite often what happens is I walk in within 5 minutes and say, everything I told you 2 weeks ago, forget it, it's not that, right? But often at that stage, I would look at something and go, we need to have a little word with a vet and ask these questions first, right? And it could be exactly what you're saying. So let's say we've got, I don't know, a 5-year-old Labrador, and suddenly any time another dog goes anywhere near his back end, he wants to turn and bite them. He's a Labrador, that's unusual. And it's when a dog goes near his back end. He never did this before, and he's now doing it. He's 5 years old. Right, okay. Has he got hip dysplasia? Is there some other thing going on? Is there a pain issue here? So I want to know as best we can. Is there pain? Is there a medical kind of issue, before we move on? Because you're going to get nowhere if he's doing it because he's in great pain, So it's just from experience. You look at cases and go, I think we need some help here. Or the other thing that you alluded to is, there are times when you might need a bit of chemical help, as you say, and people often are concerned that I don't want to be drugging my dog, I don't want to give him a sedative for the rest of their life. But there are times when you need a bit of extra help to get over the hump. So while you're doing some behavioural work, you're trying to teach them what's good as well as what's bad. You might need to take the edge off, with there are certain drugs out there, as you know, so they can be a really great help. Because there are cases where there is almost no good behaviour to reward. Where do you start? You can't just tell them off all the time. That's nagging. So by using that sort of medical help, I always describe it as turning the volume down from, the volume of the problem down from 10 to 8, let's say, and then we've got something to work with. And then, of course, what you do is once it's really good, you've ingrained a good habit, and the dog's like, okay, I don't need to do that, I could do this instead. Got it. Like all things, you've got to repeat it a lot. Think, okay, well, let's see if we can take them off the extra help that we had, So it was a helping hand, but it's not there forever.
Absolutely. What I love about what you're doing, I must say, when we have to do continuous professional development, we obviously as vets we need to continue to take on new information all the time. Things change, and so often when we're in these sort of sessions, we have case discussions, and they'll go, okay, you've got a female spayed, whatever, and they take you through a case, and you learn so much from case examples. And what I love about what you're doing is obviously people will really resonate with some of the cases that you see, and they go, that's exactly what my dog does. Yeah. And I now see why I've got it wrong. So, in the grand scheme of things, this is a great opportunity for people to see, where they're going wrong. Common things are common. And obviously, yes, I know that you were saying that in terms of selection, there are certain things that may be quirky or different. But I suspect a lot of the things you tackle, even at the start of some of these things, are of common denominators in terms of typical behavioural issues in every household. Is that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And quite often the quirky ones, turn out to be something which is there's a principle behind it which is pretty common. So I'll give you an example. There is a dog's behaving very badly. Australia as well. We're on season 2 now, and it's just started to air in Oz. And in that series, there's a dog who hates ceiling fans, right? And he just goes bananas whenever a ceiling fan goes on, right? So I'm like, well, this is good, because it's pretty common in Oz, and I guess it would be in Africa, but not so much in England. You don't see so many ceiling fans, right? So I'm like, I've never come across this before. And you're not going to find that on page 93 of any textbook, are you? Let's be honest.
No.
So, what's going on here? So has he always done this then? No. We lived in a house that had ceiling fans, and until he was 2 years old, he lived there. He was absolutely fine. He was fine. Right. And does he react to all ceiling fans? Yep, all ceiling fans. Any kind, any colour, anywhere. Okay, right. When did it start then? Well, we moved to this new place, and we didn't have any ceiling fans. And then we installed these two, and he started to react to them. And since then, he's just noticed them everywhere, and he reacts to them all the time. I thought, what the hell could this be? So I'm looking at the recce tape I mentioned before. The guys go out and film it, right? And he's barking at these fans, and I didn't really quite get it. I had a couple of ideas. I thought I just need to get there and have a look, right? And then when I looked at these fans, I thought, they're very arty. They're kind of Scandi style laminated sort of wood that sort of swoops around into a bit of a blade, But when you switch them on, because they always start slowly, don't they? As you switch it on, I'm looking at this kind of almost from the ground up as a dog would, thinking, that's a bird of prey. That's what that is.
No.
Yeah? No wonder he's barking. Wow. Somebody's just installed 2 birds of prey in the house. So
and he can't get at them.
You see what I mean? So he's like, rah, 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 terrified, really. Rah, 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 rah. And then, of course, what happens next? People go, for goodness sake, and they switch it off, right? He's like, thank goodness for that, right? Yeah. So he's like, right.
I won.
I hate these things, but I can make them stop. And then what he's done is the sort of confirmation bias thing in psychology, where the best example of that, you buy a new car in a particular colour, and you're ever so pleased with yourself because you've never seen one in that particular shade before. It's ever so unusual until you drive it out of the showroom, and then everybody's got one. You see 3 or 4 a day. It's like, I've never noticed them, but they were always existent, of course, but you never saw it. But now you're tuned in. So what he's done is he's gone out of the house, gone down to the local cafe place, and gone, that's another one. It's a white one, but it's So he sees them everywhere now. So once you've seen it, you go, right, that's a quirky problem. And it is quite unique, isn't it? A ceiling fan that's pretending to be a bird of prey. But then you go, okay, how do we fix it? So I've got a dog who's scared of something. Right. Do we drop him in the deep end? No, we don't do that anymore. Flooding, right? Bad idea. So, because you could say, right, well, let's just switch him on and he can bark his head off until he stops.
Leave him in there.
Yeah, leave him
Close
in
the
there.
door.
That'll fix him.
He'll get tired of it.
That'll show him.
Yep.
Well, the problem with that flooding technique is it does actually sometimes work, but often it makes it worse. And I'm not a big fan of techniques that have a risk of making things worse, right? And as a vet, it's just you never want to go there, do you? So you go, okay, well, how do I create a mini version of this problem so that I get a mini version of the reaction? You see what I mean? And then we can do something about it. I go, right, well, I won't switch it on with the switch on the wall. I could, put my hand up and just move it a bit. And as soon as I touched it, it was like, rah. I'm like, no. But because he wasn't too heightened, he was able to listen. I go, okay. And he sort of like sat back a bit. I'm not happy, but okay, I'll be quiet. Oh, good boy. There you go. And then I touch it again. No reaction. Good boy. And he's like, okay, all right. So maybe you could touch that thing and it's all right. And then I move it a little bit. You can see where this is going, can't you? So you move it a little bit with your finger, right, no. Then he comes back down, good point. And then by lots of repeats, and then just upping the ante in tiny little increments, you get to the stage where you can switch the fan on and he's okay. Well, the principle there is if you've got a dog who's scared of something, you look for a way to create a diluted version of your problem. Does that make sense? Yeah? So this could be a dog who's scared of traffic, right? Could we be 200 metres away from a road? Can we get to a point where he's barely reacting, right? So that I can get some good behaviour that I can reward, right? And once I've got to that point, I can, if any behaviour that feels rewarding tends to increase. Same with humans, right? You do something, it feels good, you do it again, right? So I choose not to react, right? And the nice man tells me I'm a good boy. Could even be a treat, perhaps, if they're that way inclined, right? And then you go, okay, now we've got to this level, I can up the ante a little bit. In the case of the traffic, we get nearer. In the case of the ceiling fan, we move it a bit more. So the principle is start with something really easy, reward the good bit, and then slowly but surely up the ante. And every session you get to a point where you go, that's enough now, right? Quit while we're ahead, more tomorrow. So even the quirky ones often end up with a sort of general principle that you could apply, And you're absolutely right. I always like to think that you sat watching the show. I always like to think of it as a couple sat on a settee, on the sofa watching the show, and one says, "That's what you do, that is." Yeah, but you do that. So it's like, oh, I see where we're going wrong, Or they tune in and go, "That's what our dog does," So yeah, absolutely. You're right. It works because you can learn from it. I'd like to think, and let's be honest, and have a bit of fun along the way as well. It's got to be entertaining.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of entertainment, and I think it's valuable and entertaining. So your show is now on season 6 here in South Africa. We're waiting the 25th of August, I believe. Is that correct?
Well, you might know better than me, but I'll take it.
I think so. Yes. Yeah. I'm very excited. So to
season 6, it was great. It's a year ago now since we produced that, and last summer in the UK. About now. So there's some great stuff in there. I mean, there are some really dramatic ones. The ones that were probably more dramatic than I wish they were, if I'm honest. The Doberman who literally ripped the jacket off the back of me, off my back. Yeah, scary. I was like, I wish you hadn't done that. That's my favourite jacket as well. Thankfully, he got the jacket, not me, so that was good. And then the funny, quirky ones, like no spoiler alert here, but again, a bit like the ceiling fan. One of these, you won't see this in the textbooks. The dog who reacted badly by barking whenever the owners touched a fishing rod. And they're both into fishing, they love their fishing, and they want to take the dog with them, but if he's there, he barks his head off, only if you touch the fishing rod, right?
Wow.
And one of the ladies said, it was a great comment by her, she said, I said, so he doesn't do it if you touch the tackle box? No, not if you're setting up the rod, no. But if you touch the rod, right? So you're there fishing, everything's calm, you touch the rod and he goes absolutely bananas, And I'm like, really? So only if you touch the rod? And she said, and that's kind of the point of fishing. So I'm like, yeah, very good. And I'm not going to tell you why he was doing it. It took me a while, and I hadn't realised what was going on until I was there in person. Again, I've seen the little tape that the production people have sent me. And I thought, I've got a few ideas, but when I got there and I saw it happening, I'm like, I know what it is. So.
I can't wait for that one.
And I think, and it's a bit like, and I'm sure you recognise this. There are some cases that you go to and you think, this is a detective job here. I've got to work this one out, and it's brilliant when you hit on the right thing. It's like, I know what it is because of this and that and that and that, but not that. It must be this. Let's treat for that. See what happens, and yes, your beauty, we've got it. It's a great feeling. So I quite like that sort of. The detective story, part of the show. So all good fun.
I can see you love it. Well, I'm hoping that at some point that you've covered all the typical behaviours in the UK and Australia, and that you come and spend some time with us in South Africa and encounter some of our challenges. Like, very few people walk their dogs.
Right, okay.
Particularly in KZN. They all sit behind the gate. They're all security dogs.
Of course, that's an issue,
and monkeys. Monkeys are a big issue for us. They pass through our property.
Right,
so monkeys, dogs barking at monkeys. Yeah. So we've got some challenging cases here for you. Yeah. That might inspire you to come and do a little series in SA.
That'd be great. I've never had a dog barking at a monkey in England. You'd be surprised to hear.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Come and check it out and see if you can solve that one.
There you go. That'd be good. Also not on page 93 of the book. So, I'd love it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Great.
Thank you. I know we've run out of time, and I could talk to you for hours and hours. You are a wealth of information, and I'm very excited to see your season 6. So thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. It's lovely to finally get the opportunity to chat with you. Well, and I love the fact that you're a Rottie owner as well.
Yeah. I didn't know you were. So that's great, isn't it? Yeah. So Well, lovely. Cool. Thank you so much for having me on. My mum always said, when I went to a birthday party as a kid, I always had to say, thank you for having me. So thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure. You were delightful to have.
Thank
you, Graeme. All the best. Okay, keep well. Thank you so much, Graeme, for joining us today and sharing your incredible insights. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. For our listeners, be sure to tune into the new series of Dogs Behaving Very Badly on DSTV. You won't want to miss Graeme's expert advice and the fascinating stories of dog transformations. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to the Pause and Effect podcast. Don't forget to leave us a review and tell your fellow pet lovers all about us. Together, we can create a happier, healthier life for our companions. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. And don't forget to give your dogs a hug from me.
Welcome back to Just for Pets. You're with Dr. Carra.
Hello, Doctor. It's Chanel the Persian. And, I can't seem to stop retching to get this hairball up.
Are you on a special diet?
Excuse me?
Hairball control food will really help. And maybe some Laxapet. And lucky for you, Just for Pets have a big range.
Well, how early can I get some?
Order today and we'll deliver pronto.
Wow! I feel better already.
Justforpets.co.za. Vet approved, pet adored. Get it all to your door.